When does a collection become greater than the sum of its parts? Today's books, Eavesdrop by Jess Atkinson and Old Songs, New Songs by Rita Fürstenau, present collections that evoke humorous or puzzling stories, inspiring us to ask questions and recognize larger patterns. Jess Atkinson is a Canadian artist and designer currently based in Hamilton, Ontario. She explores a variety of themes throughout her 2- and 3-dimensional pieces. Her process is very tactile, and she enjoys using repetitive actions to reach a meditative flow. Coming from a background in graphic design, she often explores how textures can bring words and images together in unexpected ways. Eavesdrop is an energetic and humorous romp into the fragments of conversations we sometimes hear in passing. Created at Women's Studio Workshop in 2013, the book features tidbits that Atkinson overheard in public spaces while she was living in New York City. The page spreads feature a sentence across from an expressive face. Nestled into the compositions are also the places where Atkinson overheard each snippet. Each of these 12 moments sparks so many questions in my mind. What led to this point in conversation, and what is the story behind it? The faces conjure even more of each narrative. For example, this smug expression evokes a competitive one-upmanship over another person's ailment. I like that the expressions could be read 2 ways. I see the face of the person saying the sentence, but I can also imagine that these are Atkinson's internal responses to what she overheard. Atkinson created these words and images with plasticine, a modeling material that she has used since childhood. When she made this book, she was exploring ways to bring her work with plasticine, which is ephemeral, into a more permanent form. By modeling the clay on top of a light box, she could photograph each composition as a high-contrast image, which would easily translate for screen printing. The playful imagery that Atkinson created, combined with the evocative conversation fragments, make me absolutely giddy with fascinated speculation. It's hard to choose a favorite spread, but this one grabs me every time. What has happened? Is this a scientist in a lab? A crime scene investigation? Curious and compelling images flood my mind. Atkinson's skill in selecting these quoted moments, alongside the over-the-top energy of the faces, elevates this book. Each page evokes opinionated characters and places us in one or many intriguing narratives. Atkinson told me that most of these random phrases were overheard in mundane settings. She explained, "All of these interesting stories are around you all the time." Playful and powerful, Eavesdrop reminds us to keep looking and listening. If we stay present in the world around us, we'll find interesting and unexpected stories wherever we may be. Rita Fürstenau is an illustrator, surface pattern designer, and arts educator in Kassel, Germany. In 2007, she co-founded Rotopol, an independent publishing house, storefront, and gallery that focuses on graphic storytelling. Fürstenau's own books and illustrations often feature a combination of figurative images alongside geometric or abstracted elements. Published in both German and English editions, Old Songs, New Songs is a collection of historic laws, all but 3 from the United States. Although this legislation is no longer enforced, each one is still on the books. At first, I laughed at how funny some of these laws are in their specificity. I tried to imagine the story behind them. Why on earth would someone need to legally banish eating ice cream with a fork? What's wrong with photographing rabbits? It doesn't take long, however, to recognize a deeper narrative emerging. Many of these laws suggest a moral panic of hyper-conservative and controlling local governments. They can be so trifling, it's mind-boggling that they are real legislation. Although it is never stated, it's not hard to recognize who wrote these laws. They are clearly desperate to uphold the patriarchy and the dominating interests of white men. Fürstenau was inspired to create this book after she read an article about how some people in the US were trying to solve neighborhood disputes using such clearly outdated laws. This led her to research curious or absurd laws and the legal basis behind their specificity. Through the laws she presents in this book, Fürstenau wanted to explore the tension between how humorous and entertaining these laws can seem, while examining the power structures behind them. She asked, who was in charge and whose perspective on social reality manifested into a law? Which kind of behavior was punished, and which social groups were linked to this? Fürstenau's delicate drawing style and color choices lend humor and a historic feel to the book. When I first read Old Songs, New Songs, it took me a moment to realize that the images do not directly illustrate the laws next to them. Rather, you can move around the book and find related illustrations. I like this deliberate mismatch. It makes me examine the words and images closer, and consider how social expectations entwine with power structures across society. The backside of the book is lush with plants and insects, with one tiny house nestled in. Think about how small we humans are, and our desperate impulses to try to control everything around us, overlooking the freedom and beauty of the natural world. Bound as a leporello or accordion fold, we have the opportunity to create different juxtapositions of pages, or open the book wide to view more at once. In the late 19th century, leporello were common travel souvenirs that depicted scenes or photographs of a region's tourist attractions. Old Songs, New Songs presents itself like a souvenir collection of antiquated laws, but many of these patterns regulating the behavior, appearance, and existence of targeted social groups are still written into society today. As Fürstenau said to me, these patterns underline the importance of participating in democratic practices as the thoughts and ideas of political leaders shape the social reality we are facing. She's right. We don't want to keep singing the same old songs. Whether an overheard snippet of conversation or an antiquated law, Eavesdrop and Old Songs, New Songs skillfully blend text and illustrations that inspire our imaginations and provoke questions about the narratives that can be contained in just a few words.